You're listening to More Than Reports, and I'm your host, Paul B. Felix.
In this episode, Paul and Alex begin a series of discussions on the importance of data architecture. They explore how business leaders at growing companies can gain value from understanding the various types of data architectures and how these choices affect their business.
In our show, we're committed to always talking to the business person. We are technical people. We are delivering projects and working with clients and building things that are essentially technical objects and solutions. So today we are choosing to talk about in business terms, as we're committed to something that is fairly technical. So Paul, when we're going to build it, um, and I cannot get around the metaphor of the construction project. Every one of us at one time in our lives is going to get involved in one. We're going to get someone. We're not construction people ourselves. We're not builders. Assume we are homeowners now, and they come in. Well, let's do this project, and we think of the end result, but we know that the way things are going to be built really matter. And I think that's very similar to the situation we find ourselves as business leaders when we're trying to build a technical solution. We're here to
Yeah.
talk about data solutions. So, the key term for today's discussion is architectures, data architectures. Um, as a business leader, why should I care?
Well, first, I agree with what you said there. When you think about business intelligence as a whole, or whatever you want to call it, analytics, analytical solutions, there's two components. There's I guess synonymous to what you said, there would be the architect talking to the homeowner about, hey, what do you want? What are you trying to get out of this new project? That would be like us talking to a subject matter expert or someone in a business that has a need, and we're trying to uncover that need. So that's kind of the business component of it. But then at the end of the day, we're going to build something, and that's a technical solution that's going to be focused on utilizing whatever data is available and trying to deliver on those business needs. Just like a architect in a home project is going to go work with the builder and go get the materials and actually build something. That's exactly what we're going to do as well. And I totally agree that it does matter. Just like a home, it matters. The details matter as far as the quality of the home. Do you want that home to be comfortable? Do you want it to have, uh, basically comfortable, right? Do you want to actually fulfill the needs that you intended it to fulfill, or not? And I think the answer is obviously yes, you do. So how you build it, what you build, is very important in residential construction, just like it is in business intelligence or analytical solutions. No doubt about it.
So, but this time we're not building. We keep. I think we're going to talk about construction quite a few times. But I want a
Yeah.
room. Well, I built your room. Well, but I hate it. It's an entirely possible scenario here. I don't like the colors. I don't like the layout. And I think in very different ways and similar at the same time. I want to run my business, and I want all this data to support me. Okay, it's ready. Your data is there. Well, but it's very complicated. It's difficult. I don't like the way I receive the data. I need more frequency. I need less frequency. It was very expensive. Those are all key concerns. What are those, Paul? If we were to list out the things as we start the project, we should put at the top of the list as key concerns for someone starting the project, hiring their, let's call them architects, the builders. They're going to come and build a data solution. And in the minds of the buyer, the homeowner, you're saying, well, I see a screen in my computer with metrics on a daily basis. And the project may take longer. It may be too expensive, or I don't like the numbers. The numbers are incorrect. What are all those concerns that the business owner, not the homeowner, should address with their architects before they even start?
Holy mackerel, that's a lot of stuff there for sure. I'm going to try to hit on a few that I think are on the top of my list at least. I'd like to start with the triple constraint. We have quality, speed, and cost, right? That
Cost.
it's
Yeah.
going to come down to that. You can have two, but not all three, right? I think if hopefully we should probably talk about the triple constraint at some point, but let's just say that that's an obvious concern. How quickly do you need it? Does it fit within your budget?
Yep.
And quality is something that I think I want to expand on. So um, what I think happens often, especially early in an organization's process of building these solutions, is they don't have the foresight to know what's going to happen in the future. We can't tell what's going to happen in the future, and to me, what that means is we have to build solutions that are flexible enough to accommodate changes. And when we talk about these solutions, sorry about my background noise. I don't know where it's coming from now. I've turned it off 100 times, but I'll have to figure that technical problem out later. um, the When we talk about these technical solutions, the challenge is that we have changes that are going to occur at the data source side of things. So how we collect data and what data sources are available. Maybe the business wants to change a business application. Maybe they're going to reconfigure an application. Maybe they need to augment it with whatever, even Excel data. So all that is going to change, not overnight, but eventually it will change. And the same thing is true on the requirements side. Back to our analogy, at first you might say, well, I've got one baby on the way, so I need one extra room. Well, guess what? Sooner or later, you got two babies, and now you need two rooms, right? So we have to assume, especially in analytics, that just from the nature of it, as soon as you learn something, you're going to have more questions. We know that's going to happen. So as those requirements on the analytics side change, that further requires us to be flexible in this technical solution. So to me, that's one of the key points is um, the ability to change without starting over. You don't want to have to just completely throw away what you did and start fresh every time a requirement changes.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent um, time to remind the people who listen to us uh, that this is exactly where our whole metaphor completely falls apart. That's where technical, that is, technology projects are completely different from building a home. In the world of business, change is so much more dramatically frequent. Uh, yes, I mean we have life-changing events, and a new child being one of them. In business, you can imagine that happening um, on a whim. So the way to approach the project needs to put first and foremost the ability to react to change. I consider that even a bigger concern than, of course, you want to make sure you were within budget, and the project needs to be at a cost that can be accommodated by the organization, but it may be lost if it can't be changed. That's the one thing computers brings to us is they can be incredibly flexible if you design it right. And I'm using the word design here very intentionally. This is the whole point of our episode. If you are going to start your project, designing it is a key phase of it. Don't just go ahead and let's do it. Um, be very careful and be intentional about where you want to go with it. So it's a good moment to stop thinking about homes and start thinking about the what it really is the nature of technical projects, the ability to react to change. Isn't that very true?
Absolutely. We've got to be able to react to change as efficiently as we can. It's never zero cost to change, but we don't want to have to rip out the foundation, let's say, every time we have some change that comes about. And there's ways of handling that. We're going to be talking about the specific options we have when it comes to data solutions in future episodes. But I think just as a starting point, we need to make sure that whatever we do, it's able to accommodate change as efficiently as it possibly can. Um, can't overemphasize that. If you create something that is impossible to change, it's going to have a short life. That's all there is to it.
One thing that I observed, in my time in technology is how we practitioners learned how to deal with, how to manage projects and particularly in the delivery side of our business. Back in the day, we did year-long, multi-year projects.
Hmm.
Uh, and in time, we've seen this big change towards the good word is iterative meaning repeat.
Right.
So if you could break your execution, the project execution in small cycles of deliveries,
Hmm.
it may be frustrating because you don't get the full project done, but it is rewarding, satisfying in the sense that you get small senses of progress or a real sense of progression because you get something done and you can work with that. That requires a bit of a mental shift that I'm not sure every business person is prepared to do automatically. What has been your experience with iterating through these projects? Is that a good way to approach it?
Yeah, you're going after the time element now, which has a lot to do with the methodology we're going to use on how we implement. But the time aspect of the triple constraint here is going to be very important. That not only is going to impact what you're talking about, like someone's appetite to wait for a whole solution to be developed before seeing something versus seeing stuff iteratively and the pros and cons of that. But also, if there is a hard time constraint that says, "Hey, this has to be done in X days" or whatever the period is, that actually plays into the data architecture as well,
Right.
because some architectures simply take longer to build. Usually, the longer or the more sophisticated solutions are going to take a little more time to build. Doesn't have to be a lot more time, but it may not be. There may not be enough time available to get to those more sophisticated solutions. So that alone can impact the data architecture is the time constraint. Um, we work. I wouldn't at the Frog BI when it comes to methodology, we don't really follow the strict agile manifesto. We create the way we build is a fluid process. We're always building. We don't time box it into sprints or any of the other. Um, there's various flavors of agile, but we don't do any of those time boxing exercises. We're just always developing what needs to be developed and always promoting to production once something's ready to go, and always delivering that to the business and saying, "Okay, let's validate this and make sure that we can get it into use." That's a tough one to say, right or wrong. When if we're going to go back to our house methodology, the house is not useful until it's complete for the most part. But when it comes to these analytical solutions, they can be useful, before they're complete. We're talking about kind of jumping into the details here, but if we're talking about models that are capable of answering questions. So, if you just arbitrarily can think of a holistic model that represents a whole business, that would be wonderful. I can basically go ask that any question about the subject areas of my business and be able to answer those questions. Whereas if I just had one component of that model, would it be of any use? I guess is the question. I think the answer is yes, it would be of use because there's certain subject areas within a business. You might focus on HR, you might focus on sales, you might focus on operations, and you can build those out in pieces such that they eventually work together as a whole. But when we don't have the whole, we can still use the pieces. So I do think that um, my opinion is it makes sense to constantly be pushing features out into production so the business can actually use these things. But that also ties back into the data architecture. How what types of architectures how do our data architectures influence your ability to constantly iterate on those things? Um, the worst case scenario is having to start over every time, right? But usually, being starting over is the fastest thing to do, right? If we're going to talk about one feature, Well, if I just want to be laser focused on that one feature, we call these point solutions. If I just want to be focused on that one feature, I don't have to worry about anything ever happening in the future. I don't have to worry about any unexpected requirement or anything else. I know exactly what I want to do. Then building a point solution type uh, um, or our data architecture that is a point solution would be probably the most economical, fastest way of getting to the end result. I would say it's not the highest quality though, because even if the people asking for that point solution are saying, this is all I'm ever going to need, don't worry about it, I just want this. Well, often that's not going to be the case. Often that thing is going to have to change. And if you build that in that way, we ultimately end up with spaghetti code. It's not you don't have it doesn't have to end up this way, but often it does end up that you're not building in a way that is extendable, and that type of situation makes it such that it's quicker to just throw that thing away and start over than it would be to kind of refactor it and then create this um, data architecture that is able to accommodate these changing requirements.
Yeah, that brings to mind what I think is a central feature of being in business. You need your ability to be successful. I think is directly proportional to your ability to navigate trade-offs. There's always a give and take, and your explanation there, I think, took me right there. You can have it quick; it may be not complete. Um, you can have it perfect; it won't be quick. The math that goes, the calculus, the calculations that goes into what is the best, what is the optimal. It's never if I can say most optimal. I don't even know that exists, but uh, it can't be perfect. It's hard to get it to be perfect, but it can be good enough, and good enough should be fine. Um, so long as you have a clear sense of progress, value is visible, and uh, there's agreement across the parties involved that we are making solid progress. So why do I bring trade-offs? Because I want to connect that to the methodology. Yes, we can stop and spend months designing the perfect solution. Expensive, but it's going to be perfect, but it's going to delay you. And there's a lot of risk because business changed a lot. Or we can embrace a super flexible, um, I guess, style of doing projects. You mentioned Agile, Scrum, and a lot of people do that. Um, but then you kind of lose. You're giving you're giving a degree of freedom there to the methodology. That's the way I feel about agile. And what you seem to have practice there, Paul, is uh, it's I hesitate to say it, but let's do it, right? But let's do it in a very deliberate way. So we're not just building anything. We're going to sit down and work on tasks that should deliver on your immediate needs. They should not be, and there are some rules that I'm getting, and I want you to confirm those. They should not be too long that we feel that we are losing control over our delivery, and they should not be useless to the point that they're throwaways. So there seems to be an optimal way to put yourself between a fully designed project and a strict agile, like I'm going to say every week I'm going to do something. What is something? Well, we'll decide as we go along. You seem to propose something in between, which is we're not time boxing us, but we're leaving ourselves free to choose what to do next. Well, how do we choose? What has been the experience there in terms of making those choices and tackling what is first, second, third, and next?
Yeah, well, we have status meetings with every client, and we do that on a recurring basis, and then we simply ask, what do you need to be done first, second, and third? And then we'll have to weigh in with for things like, okay, well, you say this is third, but it actually, if we do this with item one, we actually can, make it more efficient to join things together. So it's not black and white. Client
Very
simply says
true.
this is what I want
Hmm.
first, second, third. But with that input from the person that has the need, we then can begin that prioritization process in combination with what's optimal from a development resource perspective. I want to say that we're going to be talking about data architecture for the next 4 or 5 episodes or something like that, Alex. And I just want to make it clear that there's more than one data solution that can solve a problem.
The
There's
same
there's
the one problem, right?
right. There's no that it's hard to say there's something right and wrong. There's probably things that I would say, yeah, that's not the right way to do that. But generally speaking, there's a number of ways of solving these technical problems. And what we're trying to say is, here's your options, business. And we're trying to talk to the business here, not the technical people. Although this may be interesting to everyone. It's just we really want the business folks to understand the impacts of the um, requirements that they're providing, right? Because we're going to describe how an architect is going to consume those requirements and then make recommendations for a proper data architecture. The data architecture is second to delivering value, as you pointed out, right? It isn't the the Cadillac of data architectures is not necessarily the right solution because ultimately trying to deliver on some value opportunity that business has identified. In black and white terms, I have an opportunity to capture $50,000 a month if I can do this better. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Well, it wouldn't make sense for us to go spend $500,000 to deliver on that thing, assuming it's a 6-month opportunity or something like that. So there's more to just the um, um, than saying it's more to it than just saying, oh, what's the best possible solution that I can build for this? No, it's the solution that makes sense for the opportunity that we're going after. Now, having said that, as you have these systems that are um, built to be extended, right? We have one requirement today, aka opportunity we're trying to go after, and that we have another one tomorrow, and another. Right? When these things continue, then you're building a foundation, hopefully, that can maybe in some cases, when that new requirement comes in, we can already fulfill that opportunity without doing anything, right? Because we've built a model, not a point solution. We built a model that can accommodate certain needs. Um, so that also plays into it, right? I guess it kind of goes back to the whole vision of what we're trying to accomplish is the most important thing. Are we going to have a business that's run with the assistance of um, understanding the environment we operate in by cultivating and organizing data in ways that people can consume it and they can actually use that as insight to improve their decision making? Are we going to do that? If so, that again, that's another thing that influences things. If we have a data culture, again, the paradigm would be point solution, data driven, right? If we look at that paradigm, that also would go or it would impact the data architecture that we're going after as well.
Yeah, that makes me think of almost personal styles or cultures, terms that all bring us back to individuals and organizations, the people. That's so important. I think the first question business people need to ask is, how do you feel about it? Some people are believers and some are doubters, and it's totally fine.
Yeah,
Yes, we work with data, and I do not expect everyone that we work for to believe in it as we do. I have had my experiences, and I respect the fact that yours may have been negative with doing IT projects. You think they're expensive and ineffective, and boy, I have seen those. Um, it gets that personal.
it
Well,
does.
here I am. I know I need to do something. Should I build foundation? Foundation is good. There's all these pros to building foundation. It's going to take you longer. Sorry, uh, farther, and longer too. It's going to cost you more, longer to build, but it will pay back in time. Are willing to make the commitment, and someone might just say, "No, I'm not.
That's
I
right.
haven't
That's right.
seen this thing working before. Have never been here before. I'm not very computer literate anyway. I'm incredibly successful in my business, but I don't quite get what people do there. It's not my wheelhouse. So I want to do it differently. I want to do it one step at a time. And we're fine with that, aren't we?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of people, and they're all at different. I guess if there's a maturity level when it comes to data,
Yep.
then people are in different points on that scale. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he said something that I thought was interesting. I forget exactly how he said it, but basically what he was saying is um, what we're talking about. Some companies um, are all bought in, right? They're all about driving decisions based on data. Let's make sure that we have some factual information to back up these decisions that we're trying to make, and others are not. And I think as a whole, um, I would say generally the world is moving in that direction to rely on data more. But I still think there's many companies that are just looking at these data solutions as more point solutions. Frankly, they hey, I want this report so that I can do this, right? The more tactical um, situations. Um, well, I guess what I'm saying is there's still a long ways to go when it comes to ingraining data culture in organizations. There's a lot of opportunity there, but it comes back to what you said. What is their, where are they currently? What are their experiences? What's an organization's experiences with using data? Are they, do they have a vision? You know, do they have that vision of where they want to go? Or is this just some little thing that we want to try to solve? We just need a dashboard, or we just need to be able to solve A, B, and C. And sometimes it starts with that little thing. Sometimes when you get that little thing and you get it right, and you're working with a technical team, business intelligence team that is able to communicate with the business and convert those requirements into technical specs that we can deliver on. You're working with a decent team. They can help guide you to the next step. Right. Often one little success can open the door to others. We had success with this thing. Well, why can't we do that on all of these other things? And what are those other things worth? Right. You start having those conversations. What's it going to take to get there? Well, now, as soon as you have that conversation, let's back up a little bit to the initial solution. If we're working with an organization that just is looking at this one little solution, it's that point solution thing. And then we move into the aha moment where they say, well, we actually have all these other opportunities. We might have made a wrong decision on that initial solution,
Correct.
right? We might have made an architectural decision that doesn't allow us to move in to these other, I shouldn't say not allow. It doesn't, it's not extensible enough to facilitate these other things without basically building something new or starting over.
But it
So
did serve
it's
it
that
did serve
simple.
a purpose, right? It served the
Perfect.
purpose of validating the vision and giving them that spark they needed to see, "Oh, now I get it." And
Probably the
sometimes
right thing to do,
yeah,
right?
exactly. In retrospect, it's more expensive, but that's what it took, right?
That's right.
Sometimes we need that to learn, and
Yeah.
it's fine. We will never say that's wrong, right?
It's not a straight line. You don't our world is not go from point A to point B in a straight line. It is not. You learn along the way, and that learning is on all sides. It's the technical side, influences the business as well. So it's a jagged line, but as long as you're going toward the goal of adding value all the time, it usually ends up well.
So in this series, we're going to try and map out some of those stops along that jagged line, right? In the zigzag, there's points left,
Right.
right, straight, and we're going to try
Hopefully not
and
backwards.
describe, huh?
Hopefully not backwards.
Right, exactly. Sometimes,
It
but
happens.
we're going to be talking about some of those stops, what they look like, the pros and cons. And with that, we hope to learn a little bit how to get us to success in a more efficient way and uh, towards value. Thanks for listening one more time. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. In the next episode, we'll continue our discussion on the importance of data architecture, focusing on simple steps to help you get started.